Hey guys, everything new is on here. So this article is from LATimes.com, and we know there's going to be earthquakes in diverse places. And this is just another one I thought I'd bring to your attention. It's good to be aware of what's occurring and what potentially could occur. And scientists right now think something real big could occur with the San Andreas Fault. And the title is San Andreas Fault Locked, Loaded, and Ready to Roll with Big Earthquakes, Experts Say. Southern California's section of the San Andreas Fault is locked, loaded, and ready to roll, a leading earthquake scientist said Wednesday at the National Earthquake Conference in Long Beach. The San Andreas Fault is one of California's most dangerous, and it's the state's longest fault yet for Southern California. The last big earthquake to strike the southern San Andreas was in 1857, when a magnitude 7.9 earthquake ruptured an astonishing 185 miles between Monterey County and San Gabriel Mountains near Los Angeles. Now, can you imagine what would happen in California if a 7.9 hit now with the population explosion that the buildings there? So maybe they're looking for their 100-year quake, and this is what it could be. It's been It's been quiet since then, too quiet, said Thomas Jordan, director of Southern California Earthquake Center. The springs of the San Andreas system have been wound very tightly, and the southern San Andreas Fault in particular looks like it's locked, loaded, and ready to roll. Other sections of the San Andreas Fault are also far overdue for a big quake. Further southeast of the Cajun Pass, such as San Bernardino County, the fault has not moved substantially since the earthquake in 1812, over 100 years ago. 200 years ago, over 200 years ago. The furthest southwest toward the Salton Sea, it has been relatively quiet since 1680 to 1690. Here's the problem, they say. Scientists have observed that based on the movement of tectonic plates, with the Pacific Plate moving northwest of the North American Plate, earthquakes should be relieving about 16 feet of accumulated plate movement over every 100 years. Yet the San Andreas has not released stress that has been building up for far more than a century. It could cost $3 billion to prevent disastrous earthquake along San Francisco's Embarcadero. Jordan said it's important that California focus on becoming resilient to a potential earthquake. A 2008 U.S. Geological Survey report warned that a magnitude 7.8 earthquake on the San Andreas Fault would cause more than 1,800 deaths, 50,000 injuries, $200 billion in damage, and severe long-lasting disruptions. The sewer system could be out of commission for 6 months. Now, if you don't think that is an end-of-the-world situation, well, to me it sounds like that's what it would be. I think this is all being saved up. I think it's all being saved up for a time of tribulation, when earthquakes are in diverse places and really start picking up, and you see a combination of economic collapse and war and earthquakes happening. I think something like this would really put North America into such stress and martial law and survival situation, where maybe this is where the U.S. is when the countries invade Israel, and the young lions of Tarshish say, "Why are you invading Israel?" Russia, Gog, Magog. And maybe they're busy with an economic collapse and earthquakes and all catastrophic events happening in North America, which many would suggest would be very due to the sin of the nations, especially the Western nations, which were blessed, I think, by God, and with that blessing comes responsibility to then do something about that and support Israel and further the gospel. But obviously, as the Grahams have put it, Billy Graham and Billy Graham's daughter, if God doesn't judge America, then he'll have to effectively say sorry to Sodom and Gomorrah. There's destruction coming, and I think it's been put off. And you can see something like this would be something that could occur, that would be very significant, massively change not only the coastline, but the way people live. And they suggested 6 months could be the amount of time where the sewer systems are out. And how long is everything else out? Power lines, people without electricity. How long are people displaced from this area, putting stress and strain on other parts? And then how many more could die over the 6 months because of this? You'd have to transfer people out of hospitals and that sort of thing. So I think this is all part of the birth pains and tribulations. I think you're going to see some of this stuff, and this is going to be stuff that's really going to put pressure on the U.S. and the people of the U.S. And to see whether they turn to God or turn against God and say, God, you caused this, and really solidify their hatred for God against something like this. Or maybe they'll be completely neutral about it, and they won't consider God in the picture or whatever. But when 9/11 happened, you saw a massive spike in people going to church because their world was shaken. And in North America, we are so comfortable. I think our world needs to be shaken to help us to get out of this zombie-like state of everything is awesome, and to get back to a world where we realize that, we do need faith, we do need God to protect us, we do need God to provide for us. It's not as easy. The rest of the world doesn't have it as easy as North America or even Western European countries. The Western world is in persecution, they're starving, they're under threat of violence and war all the time, and we are lulled to sleep in North America for sure. So I think some of these big events really kind of wake people up, and people start realizing, maybe I do need to ensure that I get right with God, because I don't know how long I'm going to live. Anyways, those are my thoughts about it. I think all these sorts of things are getting wound up so that they can occur during the tribulation period and during the end times, where the birth pains are increased. I think God is storing up earthquakes. God is storing up hurricanes, storing up. And I think all these things will come to pass when the time is right. And I think that's why it hasn't happened for 200 years. I think this earthquake, this fault line, and many others are probably, and the volcanoes, which actually are all shooting off right now, pretty much all of them around the world. I think these are all storing up for the great events in the end of the Bible, the end time prophetic scenario. And this will cause a mass confusion. This will cause people to be in such a state where we'll be going to war, we'll be under martial law, we'll be under economic collapse. Does the earthquake trigger an economic collapse? Does an economic collapse make the earthquake even worse when it does happen? All these things I think are combined, and these are all players that come together in end-time prophecy. And so when do these things start? When do we start seeing these things kind of boom, 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 the dominoes falling of prophetic things? No one knows. I think the first thing that's going to happen is an economic collapse, and then probably shortly after that you're going to see some big devastation, earthquakes and such, which will just kind of hold us down in North America, and that may or may not bring us back around to faith in Jesus. It probably won't, because I read the end of the Bible. It doesn't say that the North America will be converted, that they will accept Jesus Christ as Savior. It'll probably solidify their hatred for a God. If anything, it'll probably cause them to push back against God and religion, and maybe say, well, it was God that did this, even though they don't believe in God. So I don't know. I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video. But I think all these things are going to be interconnected. Once things start happening, they're going to start happening real quick.